Yo, welcome to episode 38 of the Put On Pod. I'm here with Derek and Mike. What's good, gents?
What up?
What's up?
I think we wanted to start the episode today. Last episode, we did 9 questions, which took about 3 hours. I think today we're just going to do one. And it's a question from Mike. Mike, if you want to hit us with that, and we'll kick.
So the question that I have is layered with 5 different subcategories. So I just want to make sure that we all understand that we will be here another 9 hours. All right. So the question is this: what's something on your mind that you haven't acted on or spoken about that has an impact on your life? And I'll give leeway within the question so that even if you have acted on it, maybe you haven't acted on it at the level that you should in order for the thing to work.
You want to go or you want me?
You could go first, Cal.
Yeah, I think we were debating a little bit beforehand. To me, there's certain business ventures, other things that I would say I've started to act on. But when you ask that question, my mind always goes to actual content creation and personal brand. I think, obviously being in the world that we're in, certain people on social have been loud about and creating content and how that can help you in whatever ventures you dive into down the line. And it's always one of those things for me where I have it on my list every year, like, figure out my personal brand, actually post stuff on my socials and or through this get more content out. And I do think that is probably the one thing that always falls through the cracks in terms of have other things going on that operation wise jamming on, biz development jamming on. But it's like at the end of the day, if you had a personal brand and are able to market to people, whatever it is, like I just think, yeah, I know that it's a good thing. I just don't do it, and it's frustrating. So like, yeah, if someone were to, ask me that question, which you have, that's my answer. I need to be better on like the personal brand and actually creating content because, I live in that world. What Gary said it for years, and I've been there for years, but I haven't really acted on anything. And Derek, I know, like, more than most. Look at some of your ex-colleagues in terms of like Shammy, Ashley, they found niche specific things that they enjoy and are crushing from a, social standpoint. So that's my serious answer.
Yeah.
Do you think that is because you play so much behind the scenes that going in the front is like a little bit nerve-wracking?
I don't know necessarily nerve-wracking. I think the play behind the scenes is definitely correct. I also think that it's one of those things where, since I'm new to the personal brand stuff and haven't acted on it much, I think it would take me more time to actually like refine and do it well than it might take someone else who's better at it as of right now than me. And so it's like I feel like my time is better spent cooking in the background and making shit happen and getting deals done versus the same amount of time like I spend on that. If I spent that on personal brand, I'd probably be in a good spot. But it's just like I'm that much farther behind the scenes and I know I can make shit happen. And so then I don't prioritize the in front of the camera or in front of the scenes, even though I need to. And this conversation will make me, hopefully. So yeah, that's mine. No, that's a good follow up.
All right. Here's mine. Here's the one that I've been thinking about a lot. And it's a little bit, I mentioned it kind of in passing to Cal the other day. So maybe it doesn't fully follow the question, but what I realized, I had like this epiphany the other day as I'm reading like a couple different books right now. One is Laws of Human Nature. One is called The Expectation Effect. And then I listened to a podcast I'm going to talk about later on, is that I'm really fascinated by psychology, like endlessly fascinated by human behavior, by psychology, by what's that?
Didn't you go to school for that?
No, I didn't.
I was like, this is a recent fascination, right?
I wouldn't say recent, like it's the last couple of years, right? And
that's recent.
I
I mean,
guess it's fine.
you're 30 or you're 40 now.
I'm 40. I would say in the last couple of years, all of a sudden, I've really gotten into it, and I'm just like, I'm always fascinated by it, and just like again, like why people do the things that they do, like all of the kind of like the evolutionary psychology stuff, and there was a point at which I started thinking like, is this something that I should pursue as a job? And that's the thing that's been in the back of my mind. Where I'm like, should I try and be a psychiatrist or a psychotherapist or whatever? And yeah, I haven't acted upon it. I have looked into it and seen like what it takes, how long it takes. I've spoken to a couple people just like about what it could possibly entail. And I have a friend whose mom is I guess she is a licensed maybe psychiatrist. I'm not sure. Maybe it's a psychotherapist. And she one time said this to me like maybe 2 years ago, being like, you seem to be really into this. Like, I think you would be really good at it. You like talking to people. You have a good way of kind of like, helping people sometimes through things and the way that you communicate.
And flirt.
And so, what's that?
I said and flirt, the way you
And
communicate and
flirt
flirt.
and flirt. In the last couple of weeks, it's just been on my mind, and I don't think I'm probably not going to pursue it,
Are you
but
not going to pursue it because of the money?
um like the money
The money,
overall or the money
so
in the
you
short term?
it might take a couple years, whatever, to get there,
It's
and then whatever.
definitely a factor. Yeah, it's definitely the factor of like, I could use some money right now, and if I were to go that route, it's like I'd have to pay some money to go back to school. I could probably do it in an expedited like amount of time. I also don't even know that that's like what I should actually do. So that's the thing that's preventing me from doing it. Like I change my mind pretty frequently about what I'm going to do as a career. So that's my answer.
Mike, how about you?
Yeah, Mike, turn it around on you.
No. That's see, no. That's
He's not ready.
you're not a psychiatrist, so you can't do that.
I'm sure
Um,
you have an answer.
yeah, of course. So I've been in a big struggle because I have to get a lot of things from off of my name. For years it was like I always was like brand name, my name, Mike Press, Mike Press. Everything's got to be Mike Press. Everything's got to be Mike Press. And over the weekend, I just came to the realization like I have too many things under my belt. I have too many things under my name, and so when a person, especially when it comes to DJing, so when a person comes to my page, they see social media content, they see this, they see a couple DJ posts, they see a bunch of stuff, and the one thing that I've struggled with is removing removing my name from a lot of the things that I've been working on and having to create maybe different aliases or drop certain things. Um, and it's just hard for me to do that because I feel like, I feel like my name is just one of those names where just kind of, you just say the full name. Like not too many people call me just Mike, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Derek does. But, it's been a hard thing to kind of try to swallow. And the biggest thing, Derek, you'll appreciate this is the one saying always keeps running in my head is Jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah.
And I've heard at least 3 times from 3 different people, and the conversation hasn't even been about me, but it just keeps ringing. So it's like, how do I get my name? How do I start detaching things away from my name and focus on what Mike Press is going to be, what the DJ part of me is going to be, and whatever else the entrepreneurial side of me is going to be.
Well, I think it's a struggle for the three of us, because like I feel the three of us are Renaissance men to some degree. We all have a lot of things that we do. And I mean, I have the same struggle in that I'm a generalist. I have a lot of interests. I have a lot of things I want to pursue. And I don't know. I don't know that it like, yeah, I understand the thinking behind being a specialist and just doing the one thing and doing it all the way, right? But that's just
Get bored.
I'm not that person, you know,
Yeah,
and you're
I
not that
get bored.
person.
I
And
get
Cal's
bored.
not that person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying too. Is like, everyone's like dive in on something and go 100%, and you'll make that work. But I want to be 100% on five things, because
Mhm.
then you get variety. Life is. I mean, I'm just used to change. I don't like. I moved around every couple of years growing up. Even being in the same job for 3, 4 years now, it feels it's different enough. But yeah, I think we all you know like to be in the mix and doing a bunch of different things. And so, Mike, I guess my question to you though was like, you talk about where Mike Press is going to be and focusing on something. If you had to give us one or two things, like what does that look like? Spanish
It's
psychiatrist over here.
it's it's identifying, like I'm 39, and it's like identifying what I can do for the next 10 to 20 years.
You don't
Am
know
I
yet,
trying?
though. You,
I
you
don't
don't know
know
what
yet.
that is. Okay, okay.
I don't know what that is yet, because I jump around and I do a lot of things. Like I've been doing videography, I've been managing pages, I'm DJing at night, I'm still teaching our soul cycle. And it's like, at one point, I'm like, one, I know that I'm not teaching that soul cycle when I'm fucking 45. It's just, I'm not getting to the age of 40 where I'm like, hey y'all, we still here, left, right.
Right.
Like it's not happening. Like if I get to 40 and I'm still doing that, it's a wrap. And what I have to do is substitute what I make at soul with something else. And even if that thing that is something else is what I'm already doing somewhere in the ecosystem of things that I'm doing.
It's almost like you got to make a list and kind
Mhm.
of put them in an order.
Yeah.
There's a book that I read called Essentialism by this guy named Greg McKeown. And then that's all it's about is like, what's the most important thing, right? And that, or like, or not, you don't necessarily need to pick one, right? But
Mhm.
maybe you pick three
Yeah.
out of that list of 12. And you're
Mhm.
just like, you know what? Unfortunately, I'm going to take those other nine and just, that's it. Like, I'm not doing those nine. But
Mhm.
these three, I'm really going to put all of my energy into, and kind of like the only caveat to it is just when I think about a lot of the people that I respect and admire, they, a lot of them like don't necessarily say like, I am this one thing. Like a guy
Yeah.
like Naval, who me and Cal talk about endlessly, like I don't even know that he would describe himself in one particular way, right? Like he definitely wouldn't. Like he's
They give
so
vague answers.
he's so multifaceted that it's like he doesn't need to label himself, and maybe that's kind of like an answer too. Is like, instead of, if somebody comes to you and asks you that question, like, what do you do?
Yo, I hate it right now.
Yeah, you don't
Like,
even need to
I hate
answer
it.
it. I do a lot of things. I'm a jack of all trades. Like I
Entrepreneur,
this and that, White Lotus, this and that.
I'd be like, I'm a garbage man.
Yeah, you
Cut the
gotta.
conversation out immediately. Like, oh,
By the way, that question is my least favorite question that anybody asks me. What do you do?
But
Like,
how
don't
often are
ask.
you getting that? Are you getting that often?
You get it when you're approached by
how?
people that you don't know,
Yeah.
right? Like
I
by
feel like that's
strangers.
one of the first two questions they ask.
Yeah, and I've always had a problem with it because it's like I don't consider myself one thing. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a lawyer. I also don't identify as my job, whatever that job would be, right? Like, what do you do? I know it's supposed to be about what your career is, but it's just such a like, after you give that answer, then somebody's just like, okay, so you're a lawyer, so you're this type of guy, and you
Can
make this type of money, and you live this type of lifestyle.
can we talk about that question for a second though? Because when you get asked what do you do, and because that is one of the first questions, it's crazy the society we live in where it's like, one of the first things you want to know about someone is what they do professionally. But it's like one of those things where most people are giving answers like, whatever, I'm an accountant, I'm a lawyer, whatever. And some might be more juiced up about it than others, depending on how much they like their job. But again, like the notion that we're on this earth to work, and
Right.
like the fact that that's the second question or one of the first questions that's being
Yeah.
asked, not like, yo, what are you passionate about? Again, I know, and that's not going to change, but it's a little bit sad to me in the sense that if you're not doing what you love and you're just, for me, I know that I'm not taking a straight line. I'm not a standard guy. So that question, I can say a bunch of different things. It doesn't get me. But if someone asked me and I was a accountant, I don't know, I'm hating on accountants, but like, and I hated it, man, that would suck every time. And you're equating my life, like, yeah, that question.
But even with that question, what happens is like when you ask a person what they do, it's also an acceptance thing for the person usually asking it. Like
Right.
I ask it because I'm genuinely interested. Like that's my way to get to know the person. But other
Fair.
people ask it as a status thing. Oh, what do you do? Right? Because whether you are with a certain type of person or you're wearing certain type of things like that, and they ask, it's like, where, what are you doing that you can afford this? Or what are you doing that makes you get her or him? Like it's a
Yeah.
status now. It's no longer really about the job.
I
It's
get,
like,
Yeah,
uh,
no, sorry. I was just gonna say, I guess my thing is that most of us, we spend, most of our lives doing whatever we do professionally. That's why the question is asked. And that just from a societal standpoint is like, yeah, you spend more time probably with the people you work with than you do with your family. You spend more time with,
mhm,
and I'm just saying, like, to me, if you're looking at it, that just seems off. Like that definitely is not how life was meant to be lived. Sure, if you're an entrepreneur, you're passionate about it, whatever. But like, yeah, that was my point. Is like you're spending most of your time doing whatever you do, but for most people, that might suck.
It's a
mhm,
very charged question. And like, personally, I don't like what I do is like a very small part of who I am,
For
like the
sure.
things that I consider the most important parts of my identity, again, are not related to my job. Although I want to be creative in my job, right? And like that's a part of me is like I consider myself to be a creative, but the work part of it, I think it's just something that people do so that then they can make like the association of whatever it is that your answer is, then okay, now I have this, generalized information that I can kind of group you into, and it says something about who you are, and I kind of have some information. Again,
mhm.
the worst question. I hate it. And it's also the name of my um not yet finished 50-page draft of a book. What do you do?
All right. I
Well,
think we wrapped that up.
yeah,
Yeah,
the one
let's go.
question took us 20 minutes, so I'm glad it's not five part, Mike. Um, let's get into the put-ons. We're gonna start with content creators. Mike, why don't you hit us?
Yo, I've really fallen in love with this dude named Adrian Per. He's a
Adrian,
West
what?
Coast Per, PER.
PR.
What he is he's his past, he was like a videographer, a art director, things like that, music videos, commercials. What he's been able to do is teach people how to shoot, edit, and like storytell. But he does it in a very clear and concise way, and he does it in a cool way. Like he shows how he connects like rigs to his car. He's literally driving through LA like full talking on the mic like this. So yeah, when you're doing content, you want to do it
That's
like
sick.
this. You want to do that.
Serious.
And he's got like a 67 like Chevelle or some shit like that. And everything that he does, he's giving you different viewpoints at the same time. So like he's driving 1 minute, then he gives you the visual of him getting out of the car, walk 2 steps. Now he's in front of the in and out. Now he's over here, and it's just like that one video probably took him 2 hours to do.
Hmm.
But he
Yeah.
does it in such a cohesive way that it made me fall in love with content creation. Um, my second guy is, and I think I know him from when I used to be in like sneakers and stuff. His name is Cam Meunier, I think. Um, and when I came across his page, it was because he said he was going to start a content agency from zero in 30 days and get to $10,000 a $10,000 client within 30 days. And the thing that I realized is that, and this, I don't know if it's like a Scottsdale, Arizona thing or what, but it's like all of these young guys from like the age of like 21 to like 25, they're like starting these like agencies at zero, and then boom, they pop it up and it's at like 10 grand in like literally like 20 days. I don't know how they do it. I don't know what they're doing, but it's like I've known so many guys from like Arizona that this is what they do. And they're banking like 20, 40 grand a month off of classes. And I pulled this client and I did this. And I just thought it was interesting because they're so young. And he gives you like the day by day of what they do. And vlogging, basically that's his style, is something that I find like very hard for me to do because I feel like you need a second person to videotape you. If I had a person like walking around with me all day long, yeah, I could vlog for whatever.
Yeah.
But me doing it, it just feels like off.
Yeah.
So I became very interested in how he showcases what he's doing every single day to get these clients. And the other guy, Adrian Per.
I think
It's funny.
those.
No, I was just gonna say it's funny that like you're like I don't know how they do it, but there's something to being young, and I Cal can attest to this, and it's like being young, being ambitious, and just like having like okay, this is what I'm gonna do, and then spinning it up, and then just not stopping until you get to the point where like that goal. Whereas like somebody that's older like me and you, Mike, it's like all the hard work that's going to go into it, all of like the pitfalls. It
Yeah.
almost stops us from doing
Yeah.
things like that. And it's like it pays to be young and somewhat naive because
Mhm.
you're just like full confidence.
Yeah.
Sorry for jumping in there, Cal. You go.
No, you're good. Yeah, I was just gonna say on that note, the 30 days to get to X, or the
Yeah.
90 days to do this, that doing this every day. I think we've seen so many different people do challenges like that, and when they record their day to day, and you actually get to see like from day one to day 30 to day
Mhm.
150, the consistency. I mean, we talk about it all the time, but like that
Yeah.
style of content hits. I love. I've talked about different creators that have played golf every day and they're playing for 1,000 days straight, whatever it is, like, or vlog
Mhm.
for 1,000 days straight. That stuff is cool. On the point of the guy getting to like 20, 40K a month, whatever, I do think though that is also goes back to the psychology and manifestation, in the sense that if he's saying on day one, like, yo, I've got 30 days to get to 20K a month, like if it was a life or death situation and you needed to make 50 G's this month or whatever it is, you
Mhm.
would, from wake up in the morning till
Yeah.
probably no sleep, you would figure that out. Like, I have no
Yeah.
doubt that we all have enough chops that you'd figure that out. So if you wanted it enough, you could get there. Like, with AI, all these different things, ecom, like I could get to 20K a month next month, I think. But it's just like, am I so passionate about what that is and diving in every day? No. But if I needed to be, I would. So it's
That's a
interesting.
great that's a great point, Cal, because they always tell you like if you want to create a habit or you want to quit, let's say smoking, they tell you to tell all your friends about it.
Yeah.
I'm quitting smoking, and you put it out there into the universe and then it's like, "Oh shit. Now I've told everybody about it. Now I got to stick to it," right?
Yeah.
Whereas like if you're kind of going back and forth on it internally, there's a greater chance that you're just not going to do it.
Mhm.
And I think that's one of those things where if you're telling everybody at 30 days from now, you're gonna bust your ass in those 30 days to like make sure it happens. Otherwise, you're gonna have egg on your face.
Mhm.
Those are good. Those are two good ones. I also, the other one, Adrian Per, Mike. Yeah, his car is sick, and just those videos of him like looking back and like talking
Mhm.
to the camera. That's dope. That's fire.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, I've got two, and then I'll throw it to you. The mine one is it's an at tricks_shot_life, specifically ping pong trick shots. But the I don't understand how they can be so satisfying, but it's like two guys, they're young, and just things that you would never imagine be able to be done on a fucking table tennis thing. These guys are like, it's ridiculous. So that one, just like if I need an easy watch, I'll find myself scrolling, looking through 10, 20 of those a night. Those guys are legit trick shots, life, crazy ping pong trick shots. And then the other one, I like the style of content. It's very aesthetically pleasing. It's this guy, Top Jaw. He travels the world and does kind of like food reviews, but he's doing
Pause. Mike has to say something.
What's his name?
Top Jaw.
Continue. Just gonna leave that there.
I think, yeah, some British guy. I don't know. They got different lingo, but he travels the world doing like food reviews and stuff. But he has like Idris Elba on, like,
Yeah.
Tom Holland. Like he does a bunch of stuff with celebrities. But it's interesting because he'll ask like, the best restaurant, most underrated, all these, and then he'll actually go to the places. And the way that they're shooting the content is super interesting. So this guy is, I think he's trying to find the best restaurant in the world, and he's going to different places. But it's very different. Like, Derek, I know I put you on Jack's Dining Room or whatever, like the guy who actually tries the food and stuff. Very different style than that guy. This is way more polished, like not less so on the food, more so on the actual human component. But yeah, those two are mine.
Yeah.
Top Jaw, maybe because he's a British guy, Mike, and he's like the British people have some teeth things going on. All right,
that's fine.
Yeah. I have 3 creators. They all have like a comedic kind of slant to them. The first one I feel like you guys definitely know. I wonder if we've talked about him before. Nicky Cass at Nicky.
Bro,
yeah.
You've put it. Yeah, we've talked about Nicky.
Okay. Well, I want to re-mention him because, just because he's been on my timeline a lot lately. He's known for his comedic content and the different characters he plays. And some of the characters are so fucking funny.
The fucking Boston shit he be doing.
Which one?
Like when he's like in Boston, or he's like the construction workers, or like the handyman. You
the
need
contractor when he's the contractor.
Yeah. You know, whole shabba-dibby-dabba-doo to get up in there.
Making up words. And bro, that character, when he plays the contractor, as somebody who has a house and has had a contractor come in and the guy like knocks on, is like, oh man, who did this? Like, it's so spot on. Mm-hmm. And then they make up words and you have no idea what they're talking about. So he does that one. He does a lot of characters. He like puts the pillow underneath his shirt. So he's got like the pot belly, the rec league basketball coach. Hilarious.
The baseball dude is dope.
The guy behind the deli counter, or the guy behind the bagel store counter who's like making your food and taking your orders. Mm-hmm. So funny. Just a real talent, that guy. So
yeah, he crushes. Nicky Cass is the man.
Yeah. All right. That's number 1. Number 2. So I'll just start by saying that when you scroll on TikTok, on the For You page mindlessly for hours on end, you end up stumbling upon some pretty random videos, right? So a few weeks back, one example of this is all of a sudden I started to get a bunch of Indian street food vendor videos, okay? Which it turns out are mesmerizing. And the reason why is because the type of food they make, the way they make it, the tools they use, it's like there's a lot of these guys and they're just like taking like pieces of newspaper and they're like chopping things and they're throwing foods going all over the place. It looks completely unsanitary. It's like, then they like take the newspaper, they like put it into a ball, they like give it to, it's like, what is that food? How is somebody going to eat? It's like gross, but it's like, maybe it's delicious. I don't know. Anyways. So the reason I mention it, what's that?
You go find out.
Right. The reason I mention it is fast forward a few weeks later, and I stumble on another video by a handle called at Tall Guy Trav, Trav, and it was a parody video of the Indian street food videos by these two American guys pretending to be, like Indian street food vendors. And it was quite possibly the funniest video I've seen in like a long time. They're doing like one where they make soda and they're just like, and it's just they're chopping things up and liquids going everywhere, and it's so fucking funny. And then they've done a couple more. The guy is on YouTube. I think he just started his TikTok handle like recently, but he's got one like making pizza, and he's got one soda is the one I mentioned. Bro, you will watch it and I was crying. It's so fucking. Are you watching it right now? It's so funny.
They're making pizza and they're just like slapping the dough with like these sticks.
And they have, and like when they're doing the soda, like he takes like some like machete and he's like stabbing off. It's just so funny. You have to watch it, and we'll share it on our socials. So that's two. And then the last one, kind of in a similar vein, okay, is a comedian. I think he's a comedian. His name is Tristan Maloney, at Tristan Maloney on Instagram, at Tristan_Maloney on TikTok. And it's a similar thing. Like a couple of weeks ago, I was on Twitter and I saw a video I follow like one of these like animal nature handles, and they showed a video of like these monkeys. They're called, I did some research on this. They're called northern white-cheeked gibbons. They're like the coolest looking monkeys. They have this like white cheek. Their arms and legs are so long. The way they move is like hilarious, right? And this video, it's like all of a sudden a monkey comes out of nowhere, starts running up to the person, sits right in front of the person. The person's holding grapes, and the monkey's like eating the grapes, and then the monkey runs off, right? And I'm like, save these videos. I'm showing them to like, my kids and my wife, whatever. Again, fast forward a few weeks later, I stumble upon Tristan Maloney's video. And what he does is he takes a lot of animal videos, but specifically the same ones of these northern white-cheeked gibbons. And he does voiceover and basically pretends to be the voice of the monkey and like what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I think I showed you one the other day, right, Cal?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
And like he's like chewing food as he's doing the voiceover, so it's like really like sounds like the monkey as he's like chewing the grapes, and he's talking about, he's like, yeah, he's like Jerry's trying to like find me, and I'm like trying to get away from him. He's like, all right, I'll talk to you later, like, and he'll like run off. Just brilliant. Like people are so funny in how they can take the, I guess, like user generated content and then do their own kind of comedic spin on it. And I gotta send you that video, Mike, because you'll die. So those are my three.
Okay. Yeah. No, I feel like I definitely seen the Indian street food videos before, but then when you sent me the Tall Guy Trav, I didn't put two and two together the first time I watched it, and then I watched it again. I'm like, oh shit, this is the yeah. So it's,
and hilarious. They have with the Tall Guy Trav, they put in the audio from those videos, so it sounds like you're in India. It's got like the beeping, and they'll even take one of their friends and like make them like a character who's just like sitting in the back with like, as like a random like Indian guy who's just like kind of the cultures of these different countries, these like random niche things that happen within these cultures. Fascinating.
100%. Let's jump to music. I got a few. Derek, I know you have a couple. Mike, we're skipping you on music, yeah?
No, I got one.
Yeah,
you got one? All right, Mike, you hit us.
Yeah, I've been really into Larry June.
Bro, come on. That's the second time that you've like sniped me on I love Larry June. All right, go. Sorry.
I'll leave. So you can talk.
No, I'm happy for you that you finally like some rap music these days.
Yo, it's hard. Yo, I can't. It is hard. But the thing the thing that got me about Larry June is that he's using 70 samples,
Yeah.
like a lot of like soul samples. And so it's like if I hear a soul sample, I'm like, all right, let's see what you're doing. Like Kendrick did like the Luther Vandross thing. I was like, all right, cool, I'm into it. But also like because his flow is it's southern, but it still gives you so much clarity to what it is that he's saying, and it still has like good context. So
Yeah.
that was the thing that I started when I started hearing his name. I'm like, yo, who is this person that people keep talking about? And then I started listening to it. And I was like, ah, yeah, we gonna stay here for a little bit.
So good, dude. Do you have any specific songs? He just put out an album with 2 Chainz and
Yeah,
Alchemist that like is in my queue, and I haven't gotten around to it yet. Do you have any songs you
I
would
don't have
throw out
any.
there?
I don't have any like specific songs yet. I haven't put it on like rotation like that, but I've just been like I listened to like the Alchemist joint, and I was like, all right. I was hoping that he had like an Alchemist song.
Yeah.
Like I was hoping that he had an Alchemist like sample or something. But so far right now, it's just I just like listening to what he's saying right now.
I had this as like one of my put-ons that I was maybe going to mention today, maybe going to mention like a couple weeks ago. I got 3 songs for you of his that you should listen to. If you want to get on the Larry June tip. And Cal, do you know anything about him or no?
No.
There's a song called 3 Piece. That's one of my favorite songs right now. There's a song called Smoothies in 1991. Incredible. And Like a Mac. Those are the 3 that I would start with. 3 Pieces. 3 Pieces, such a vibe. You got to listen to that. I've been fucking bumping it nonstop the last like couple months.
Adding it to the queue.
I love that you just said Larry June, Mike.
Because you like I talk about it all the time. Like I just can't do new rap right now.
Well,
And to find somebody that is like, all right, that's now and he's giving nostalgia at the same time. I'm like, all right, cool. Let's see what it's about.
and it's interesting too that he's like, Smoothies with 91 is like, he was born in 91, right? We're 80s babies. But he's got an old school type of like vibe to him that's like so interesting in this modern kind of hip
Oh,
hop
yeah. They
age.
got pushing on a star on that. I'm about to kill that.
Right, right. Love him. Love him.
I've got a couple. One is 2 songs that got to be in the rotation. GBP and Truth and the Lies. GBP's with it's Central Cee, but with 21 Savage, and the other one, Truth and the Lies, is just very different than what Central Cee would normally put out. But yeah, both those are from his new album. Obviously, British rap, but yeah, those 2 songs specifically. Derek, you like 21, no?
I love 21.
Listen to GBP and then get back to me. It's just like very.
I feel like you love a lot of British culture stuff, British content creators, British rappers, a lot of
Maybe
stuff. Yeah.
they're
You kind of
more
look a little British,
because I'm white.
fair skin, got the
I
fair
probably
skin of a Brit.
most most white dudes probably a little British for sure. Speak
Not
English.
Derek.
Not me.
Not Derek.
Nah. But and then the other one is because someone was telling me about it, and I was like, nah, I'm not gonna listen. And I listened to it. It's actually fucking good. I used to fuck with the Weeknd back in the day, and then I went very off the Weeknd. And the Weeknd's obviously
Niagara Falls.
Canadian. His new album, Hurry Up Tomorrow, bro. Like Niagara Falls,
Knew it.
Cry for Me. Like you listen now, and that's actually funny that we just made that clip of Niagara Falls, but
I was gonna
Niagara
say.
Falls is a freaking banger. Yeah, like
Mhm.
what did Cry for Me? There's like 4 or 5. Let me just find the other 2. But that
Like
album, legit.
that
So
album reminds me of his remember when he did that like double album? What the fuck was it called? But it reminds me of like one of his first albums.
yeah,
It was Trilogy.
Yeah, yeah.
It reminds me a lot of Trilogy.
Well, like every so yeah, like Derek, every song flows into the next song. So like if you listen on the album from song 1 to whatever 25 or however many songs there are, you you wouldn't, the beat just continues, so you wouldn't realize that he's moved to the next song if you're not paying attention. So it all flows through, and then the last song on the album, the beat flows to the first song he ever made. And so like if you listen to the last song of the album, then go to it, just like, man, it's brilliant. Yeah, the other one, Timeless with Playboy Cardi, is a bop.
Yeah.
Cry for Me, the LA one, Take Me Back to LA, Niagara Falls. Those are four. You got to listen to Cry for Me, Take Me Back to LA, Timeless, Niagara Falls. But yeah,
Mhm.
it's a good album.
Cal, real quick, Mike, look at this. Cal, put your hand up in front of the camera. Oh, okay.
Son?
Yeah, no, it looked like you were like a street fighter, like you have like the Hayuken, like something right there over your hand. Okay, I got a couple music put on. I'm just realizing right now you guys are both going backwards hat on me. Like, okay, fine, let me do that too.
Can't spot it up. 45 minutes in.
I can't. Fine, I'll go back. Shit. All right, so I got a song and I got two artists. They're pretty obscure. Or at least one of the artists is. First song is it's an oldie by Stardust. Music sounds better with you.
Wait,
I heard.
are
Yeah.
you going to say Neil somebody that did the remix?
No. I actually there's like when I was looking at it, they had like 5 different names, and I'm like, who is this by all these different people? And then I went on like YouTube, and it just said Stardust. I don't even know anything about them. I just remember that song. It came on the other day, and I was like, this is a bop, right? Like this is a banger. I love that fucking song. Great
If
song.
you look up this group called Neil Francis,
Okay.
I'll type it in. They did a cool remix to it.
Okay. Got to check that out. So want to mention that as a song. Second one, gonna give a shout out to Steve because he randomly just put this on one of the stories, and then I went down a rabbit hole of, I guess it's like a 20-year-old music producer named ADTurnup.
Oh yeah.
And what about Oh Yeah? What?
I saw
Just
I
that
was
song?
seeing the back and forth, and then I remember the text that he sent. He's like, "Yo, this guy's making the song with it." Yeah.
Yeah. And so the song that he put on like one of our stories was 9 p.m. in Shibuya. And I was like, oh, this is a vibe. Like I need to go drive to this song. And then I went down like the rabbit hole on this dude. And there's another song called Late Night Drive. There's a song called Palace. The way that right. The way that he would be described is, and this is not from me, this is from ChatGPT because I was like, describe what this type of music is. A subgenre of hip hop characterized by ethereal melodies and relaxed beats, and blends contemporary hip hop with atmospheric tones. So I'm pumped because I'm like listening to all these songs, and then it's like giving me recommending songs, no lyrics, just vibes. Love it. ADTurnup. No idea who this dude is. It's good, right? You like it?
Like this is what I would like. This is what I look for,
Right.
like to listen to when I'm like in the house. So I need to like I need to pop, my Adderalls and get my shit
Right.
going. But yeah, this is the type of shit that I be listening to because I would want to listen to. It's like not lo-fi, but it gives you. I feel like cinema.
Yeah,
You know
and
what
it's kind of lo-fi. And I have one friend, my boy Johnny. Shout out to him. It was like I heard this first song 9 p.m. in Shibuya, and it was like you have like those like specific friends. I'm like I just sent it right to him, and I'm like you're gonna fucking love this. Like
I mean?
he's like how would you describe it? And the only way I could describe it, I was like it's luxurious, you know, like it's like a fucking,
That's good. Yeah, that's good.
where
That's
you
good.
just feel like, you know, you're going into, you're wearing a robe in a fucking 5-star hotel and you're getting into a bubble bath type of shit. Like, just great. Okay. So that's ADTurnup. That's another one. Last one. I haven't done the full deep dive on this girl, but all of a sudden I started getting hit with a million videos randomly of, I guess it was like a studio session with this chick, and her name is Bia, like that, with a rapper named DDG. Sorry, Mike. And it was for this one song called We On Go. And then I kind of started listening to a few other of her songs, and I realized I had a couple of her songs that were just randomly on my Spotify. And she's one of those artists that you could just tell she's about to fucking really blow up. She looks a little bit like, to me, a better looking Cardi B. She's kind of got a little bit of that type of flow. Very expressive. She's very attractive. Her style is very attractive. Her flow is very attractive. I have 3 songs.
She looks way better than Cardi
Yeah,
B.
she looks better. She definitely looks better. And if you get a chance to watch, if you just type in Bia, BIA, DDG, We On Go, you'll see the studio session, like, that's just nonstop all over TikTok right now. And it kind of gets you a little bit hype. And I think she's about to really blow up. A couple songs: We On Go, Fine Shit, Jaded. Those are the 3 ones. I think there was a song called Geeking that she did with who was that with? The Memphis artist. Now I'm fucking forgetting his name. Anyways, check her out. I think she's legit. She's gonna blow up. You guys checking her out right now or what?
You did a song with Nicki?
With who?
It looked like she did a song with Nicki.
Yeah, I think she does have a verse on a Nicki song, and I'm trying to see, like, what was that song? She's on a song with the Memphis artist I was talking about was with NLE Choppa. So yeah, she's definitely a sight for sore eyes.
Wait, let me ask a question to y'all.
Yeah.
Do y'all really get into this, like, female hip hop right now?
Get into it?
Like it's going to sound, I'm just straight out say, it's just like this ghetto, like, ratchet chick rap, like, because I feel like when I'm listening to it, I'm like, I can line you all up and you're all saying the same shit.
You could kind of say the same thing sometimes, though, about, like, the men too. I mean, there's definitely like a movement going on the last couple of years on, like, a female empowerment rap tip for sure. They're like more prevalent than ever.
Like, cadence is the same, style is the same, look is the same. Elite, and it's like you can do the same thing for men, right? With the whole, like, every dude rapping is like this right now. Everybody got dreads, long hair. Everybody's barely, like, opening their mouth when they want to talk. But I just feel like with women, they're becoming way more aggressive with the lyrics.
I think that's always been the case. And look, I know you're saying, like, it all sounds similar, but, like, for as much as she's hated on, like, Ice Spice to me sounds very different than, like, Glorilla, and she sounds very different than Lotto, and Lotto sounds very different than Cardi. So, like, and then I think what ends up happening is then a bunch of female rappers then copycat them, right? Like, all of a sudden you hear all these knockoff Ice Spices, and so then all of a sudden it sounds the same. But the best ones, and, like, it's very subjective. Even somebody like Sexy Red, like, when she came up, all of a sudden, like, that was a very kind of different style, whether you love her or hate her. Like,
I feel like she'd be in there with just, like, a pencil and a notepad, just be like, I'm here, you there, we over here, now we there. Like,
I get that it's not like maybe the most intellectual in some regards, but, like, sometimes I just want to hear the ratchet rap music, bro. I just want that.
All
Sexy
right,
red
you
ain't
want
it.
ratchet? I'm gonna take you somewhere ratchet.
Bro, I like to sometimes when I'm in a certain zone or in a certain mood, listening to rap music that is as ignorant as it gets. Like and you know what I mean? Like I want the ignorant rap.
That was
Oh
the
my
best thing you ever
days.
said.
All right, what do we got next?
Podcast. Um, yo, I listened to, thanks to you, Naval on the All In Pod with Chamath and Jason and a couple of those other guys, and yeah,
Friedberg.
they obviously talked about a lot of things, but I think to me, the place I want to start and the one thing that was super interesting that he said is he was talking about parenting and his philosophy, and he has a few young kids for sure, and he was saying like they were discussing the concept of taking children seriously is what he like described the philosophy, which means that with his kids, like he has very minimal rules. He allows children to make their own choices regarding like what time they sleep, what they eat, what they do. Like, if his kid is like, I want to eat 3 tubs of ice cream, he's like, okay,
Wait, wait,
and
wait,
then
wait, wait. Can I stop you real quick?
yeah,
This is all just to provide context, right? This is all based off of he went on Tim Ferriss' show, and it was him, Tim Ferriss, and this
yeah,
author named Aaron Stupel. And Aaron Stupel wrote a book called, and Cal, this book you should definitely read because you loved Sovereign. What was it? The Sovereign whatever
individual,
individual.
yeah,
He wrote the book called The Sovereign Child, and so
okay.
they were talking about the whole philosophy of this guy Aaron Stupel and what he's kind of taken from that philosophy. Go on. Sorry.
Yeah, no, and I was just saying like so the children are allowed to make their own decisions, and
Right.
Naval's piece is on, okay, like if the child is going to eat 3 tubs of ice cream or whatever it is, at a certain point he then starts to guide them in terms of like, that's go ahead, that's probably not the healthiest for you. But it's just super interesting to hear him talk about the way that he's parenting. He also said he grew up making his own decisions because his single mom, she didn't have much time. He was pretty sovereign at like 3, 4, 5 years old, and
Yeah.
obviously has been crazy successful. And so I think he's kind of employing the same thing on his children. But and then the Chamath, I think, asked him like, okay, from this parenting style, like what do you want your kids to grow up to be, or like what do you want? And he just said happy. He said he doesn't care. Like he said
Right.
they could do whatever. He doesn't care. And so I think in the world we live in today with again, I'm not a parent, but I see different parenting styles, and most people are very protective of their children and restrictive in certain cases. And to take the opposite approach and hear Naval talk about it was just, that was what stood out to me. I didn't know that he took that parenting style, so it was interesting.
The thing that I mean, agreed. It is interesting, and I heard, I never mentioned that pod that he did with Aaron Stupel, but in that pod, the guy Aaron Stupel was talking about, he's got like five kids, and he learned about this philosophy from some other guy, right? And he wanted to implement it with his own kids. So, Mike, again, like this philosophy is like they can stay up as late as they want, they can eat whatever they want, they
Yeah,
can basically do whatever
whatever.
they want. And the
And you
whole
have to
point
face
is
the
like,
consequences.
what's that?
You face the consequences of what that does to you.
Right, exactly. Like you learn on your own. Like, so one example was like they were talking about broccoli, right? Like you're telling your kid, most parents are telling their kids, like, you have to eat your broccoli. And kids basically are like, oh, I hate broccoli. And it's like, let the kid learn on their own that if they're just eating candy all the time, they're going to feel like shit. And they're going to develop a love for broccoli on their own. And basically, what he's learned through implementing all this stuff, which was really hard early on, but is that they end up becoming more independent and smarter and learning all these things way quicker by doing this type of parenting style. And
Guys,
it's like,
I hate to interrupt you and tell
yeah.
you all this, but this is what's called a black household. This is just called fuck around and find out. That's all it is.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
I can't imagine though that like your parents weren't like kind of enforcing the rules of what you could and couldn't
Yeah.
do.
Of course, they enforce the rules, but it's the same thing with me. Like I have a stepson who's 17, and I have a newborn that's 6 months. So it's like, and with Cairo, his mom is very much like, we have to. I'm like, we ain't got to do shit.
Right.
He's 17. You want to go out there? Cool, dope. Fuck around and find out. Don't call me when you and I told your ass you didn't want to listen. Now you got to figure it out.
Well, there's a big part of it where it was like back in the day when we were growing up, you did have a lot more independence. You were just kind of like going with your friends and you didn't have a cell phone. You were just, your parents had no idea where you were.
Hoping you come back.
Right. And so you didn't have like the overprotective parents in the same way. Because you had that independence, you learned on your own, you kind of got in trouble, and it was kind of in the long run the best thing that you could have had. And I think this philosophy, it's really, really interesting. The one part that I took from it, Cal, was like when Naval was talking about it, what he said was the two things that he like makes sure like he lets his kids do whatever they want. He was saying that one of his kids is on his iPad all the time, right?
Yeah.
Which is like a problem that I have with my kids. They're always on their iPads. But he said the only thing he enforces is he makes his kids read
Coding and math.
Math for I think an hour.
And he said math and coding. He was talking about coding, but then it kind of went into reading. Yeah, but
math for an hour, reading for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, right?
He said it's normally less.
Part,
like he's like they do 30 and then but still, every day.
But the reading part was something that I was like, you know what? When I was younger, my dad just loved reading, and like all the way until he passed, like he read. And then I discovered like in the last decade that I love reading, and it's been so beneficial for me. That was the thing that I like kind of took to my kids and my wife, and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna implement this, but it's been so beneficial to me that like maybe what I want to do is and I'm gonna think about it, but do something where like you guys have to read for half an hour or an hour every day, but reading stuff that you want to read, for the joy of reading, because because you want to learn something, or because like my kid reads Diary of my oldest kid, Milo, reads Diary of a Wimpy Kid, and that's what he loves. But he associates reading with homework and just like, and so when he's like, oh, I'm like, no, dude, like you could read whatever you want. You can read about basketball. You can read about sports. There are books like Diary of a Wimpy Kid out there. There's millions of different types of books that's entertaining. And I remember when I was 20 something, I mentioned this to Cal in a prior episode. I remember the first time I read Sex, Drugs, and Cocoa Puffs by Chuck Klosterman. And it was one of those books where I was like, holy shit, like you can write a book like this. Like it tickled all of my creative, like, sensibilities. And I was like, when I read that book, I realized, oh shit, like there are probably a lot of books out there that are way more entertaining than like anything I realize. And now I read, and the thing that entertains me is learning new stuff. So anyways, just a tangent about like, maybe that's the thing that I would enforce, but that whole philosophy is just.
Look, when you let your kids do whatever it is that they want, it's twofold, because then when you get out in public, your kid is doing whatever the fuck he wants.
Right.
Now you try to discipline, now you necessarily can't, because they've already been accustomed to doing whatever it is that they want. Now, I don't know his kids, and I'm not familiar with the guy, but let's just take a New York kid. Let's Derek, you and I live in suburbs, right? So let's take a suburban kid, whether they're Westchester or Long Island, and let's say they're 8 years old and they've always been able to do whatever it is that they want. You put that kid out in public, they're gonna run wild, say whatever it is they want, do whatever it is they want, and then the parent looks as if they can't control their kid.
No, but Mike, that's not what this guy is saying. Is that he implemented this thing the age of like 4, and that by the time they're 8, they're so well adjusted that like they are like the most polite. They're the ones that actually do the thing without you. Like they're brushing their teeth and getting ready and taking care of themselves without you even having to tell them. And that's why it's such a revolutionary thing. Because if they were just fucking running rampant, then it doesn't work. Then they're not subscribing to this philosophy.
Where's he from? Like, where's he live?
Well, the guy that wrote the book is an American guy. Naval lives in California, I think, or somewhere like that.
Yeah. Right, and that's what I assumed. That's why I said, do it to a New York City kid, or do it to a New York kid. I think it'll be an entirely different scenario.
It's a really interesting kind of like experiment to run. I just wouldn't do it personally, obviously, with my own kids, but to see somebody like try it out and it's worked, and like the proof is in the pudding. There's something.
Right. I got a 6-month-old. We're gonna run it up.
Run it up. Let's see. Do it.
Whatever they want.
You want to eat?
Go
figure it out.
Can I tell you about my pod real quick?
Yeah, real quick.
Okay. Real quick. It's another Diary of a CEO pod. Okay. Yeah. He had on this guy named Dr. Bill von Hippel the other day, a renowned social and behavioral psychologist.
Hold on. I swear you talked about this, no?
I didn't. No, I didn't. But I talk a lot about doctors that are on, and psychology people. Anyways, this episode, it explores how evolutionary psychology informs our understanding of modern human behavior, relationships, and societal trends. And a lot of what he discusses, and this is like a really interesting, topic of debate, is the decline of social connections in today's society, and how people are increasingly choosing autonomy over social connection.
I watched this guy.
You saw it? Mm-hmm. I could not get enough of this pod. He was talking about how basically like people are prioritizing their personal desires and goals over communal ties, and that leads to isolation and unhappiness. And basically back in the day, our ancestors, they lived in these tight-knit communities where social bonds were crucial for survival, whereas today more and more people are living in cities and navigating life alone. And the stat is like in 1850, only 1 in 100 Americans lived alone. Now it's 1 in 7. People used to spend more time with their neighbors. Now they don't. And basically he's saying like, this is the thing that's contributed to the decreasing people's overall happiness. And then he's also talking about the fact that he talks about the evolutionary psychology behind attraction, and the fact that young people today are having significantly less sex than previous generations. And it's because of, there are a lot of reasons: technology, social media, dating apps, porn. And, it just made me think about Cal and how he's having way less sex and like,
No, I liked what he said about like, I liked what he said about the how a man can be more attractive, right?
Yeah. Remind me what he said, because that whole part was great.
You need reminding. Mike, remind him.
Remind him.
It was just that guys today, and we're just using guys as a whole, it's just that, like you said, like everybody now is a lot more isolated just about themselves. So when people go out, they give off a sense of closure. Like, I'm shut down. You can't get to me, but I want you to talk to me, but I'm not going to make the first move. And it's like, you want to seem attractive, but everything you're giving is closed off.
Yeah.
You're in your phone, you're messaging people, but there's a bunch of people here that you're not even talking to.
Yeah.
So I just thought it's something that I've actually started like watching a lot of videos. He had another doctor on there, the woman, and she talked about this from the female perspective as well. I think her name was...
that one's in my queue.
And she's Vanessa Van Edwards.
Right.
But it's a real thing that people are very much closed off. And I know a lot of people like blame like COVID for it, but I'm like, no, that was you the whole time.
Well, I think the thing that's also interesting is like because more and more people are in the cities, you think that you're in the city, like, oh, you're going to have all of these different people and all of this different
Great.
these social settings, but you are isolated. And he talks about how you're in a building and you don't know any of the people that live in your building, right? You're just in your apartment. And then like more and more people are choosing, like, I'm not going to go out. And instead, and obviously this is like very generational, but this was even in our generation, but like, people are like, I'm going to stay in and I'm going to play video games or I'm going to bet on sports. I'm talking from the guy perspective. And it's like
Yeah.
all of these things where you're picking your own selfish like desires or interest over a social connection. And I think it's very, very true. I mean, like
Dude,
you see it all over the place.
my fiance was, she's a real estate agent, but she ended up getting a position at a building in the city over on like 33rd and Madison, right? They literally hire event planners for the buildings in the city so that the building can create community.
Mm-hmm.
They have events, they have mixers, they have, oh, come down to the lobby at 4 p.m. for coffee. Like, and it's just like, it's that bad that you got to create an event to have people in your building just to meet each other.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It's wild. And one last thing that I remembered from it too is just he's talking about how rich people overall are way less happy than poor people because poor people, like if they have kids, it's basically like they all kind of like help raise a kid in like a poor community, or like if you need something, it's like everybody kind of like works together. Whereas like if you're a rich person, you're in your big house, you're
Just pay
completely
for it.
isolated. You're
Yeah.
kind of like, yeah, there is no social connection. So I think it was one of the better pods. There's one last part, and I'm not going to give it away, but he gives his thoughts on the meaning of life, which I found particularly interesting and like a really great take because I don't know. I just whenever that kind of comes up, like what's the meaning of life, such a big question. He kind of has his own opinion on it. But again,
Well,
I'm
we
fascinated by anything psychology.
we've talked about early days, the blue zones, which are the 6 areas in the world where people live the longest, and the one common factor in all of them is everywhere it talked about community, hanging with
Yeah,
their friends every day, and
yeah.
laughing. Like those are like
Good
the three
callback.
things. So
Right.
yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. And if you even remember, we could even do the callback to that guy that did the study where, he did that like 100-year study on happiness. And it turns out that the biggest factor of happiness is just
Your
connections and relationships with people,
relationships.
meaningful relationships with people. It has nothing to do with money, it has nothing to do with status, it has nothing to do with your career. It's just the quality of your relationship. So
That's what
it all kind of
that's what I
fits
was
together.
about to say though, is quality over quantity, in the sense that you talk about, Mike, you talk about the mixers and the different things, and you can show up to social events and be in a room with a bunch of people and surface level know a fuck ton of
Mhm.
people, but at the end of the day, if you don't value those relationships, keep building them, there's no quality in it. I could have a million relationships, but one relationship is more important to me than those million, for example. So I think it's quality over quantity, in my opinion, from a relationship standpoint.
The autonomy over social connection also, it's like a lot of it has to do with people that choose to work remotely, right? As opposed to kind of going to an office and being surrounded by
Yeah.
other people. And so many of those people are now, we're finding out, are depressed and like, obviously they're isolated. They're by themselves in their rooms, in their apartments. And, it's clearly it's having an impact, negative impact.
Yeah.
Let, let's move to the last put on, which is TV show. Derek, you got some?
Yeah, I would say so. I have one that I want to talk about. I just want to throw one other one out. Is White Lotus? Is 2 episodes in? I know there's only been 2. I know we've talked about it before. Mike, you ever watch White Lotus?
Nah, I've tried.
So good.
Apparently, the theme songs at the start of 1 and 2, people are saying the third one is shit, like the
Yeah,
actual intro song.
it's not as good, but I love that it's in Thailand, Cal's home country. And
Yeah,
do you
stay
know that, Mike?
total.
He was born in Thailand. Wait, were you born in Thailand?
Yeah, I was born in Thailand.
You can't tell?
The fuck, man.
What? Half British, half Thai.
That's Thai, yeah.
The show that I want to mention real quick is just on Netflix. Court of Gold follows the Olympic men's basketball tournament from this past summer, and really it follows the USA team, the French team, the Serbian team, the Canadian team. There's nothing better than like the behind the scenes following the best, talent at their craft. And just also like when it comes to the national teams and seeing like the different cultures and how like a bunch of Serbian guys are so different than a bunch of American guys that are so different than a bunch of French guys, and how, I think that was really cool seeing these legends like KD and LeBron and Curry, and like just it's always so much fun to watch, again, the guys that are the best in the world at their craft. And then if you actually watch the tournament, the last game, USA versus France, when Steph Curry just went off, and that might have been one of the best games I've ever, or just like the best sports moments I've ever watched, where he just lost his fucking mind and all of a sudden just started nailing three after three after three. Mm-hmm. And on that last shot where everybody knew he was trying to take it, and he did that step back and fucking launched it, and it just nothing but net. That was one of the great moments to me in sports history. It's a good little watch. 6 episodes, Court of Gold.
You finished it?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
It just came out, no? Like,
you want to know something? My I should have mentioned this, but like I have this one. Yeah, I have this 1 week where my wife takes the kids down to my in-laws' place in Florida. I get a couple of days where I'm just by myself, and all I do is read and watch a lot of like television that I wouldn't watch otherwise. So I watch that, watch a little bit of McMahon. That's one that, wait a second, Mike, are you a wrestling guy? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I watched that.
You did watch that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm like, I still have a couple episodes. I watched the SNL 50.
Jeez, bro, that's the unemployed bachelor lifestyle right there, eh?
That's crazy.
You know what? I say this. I made a couple of digs at Cal about not having sex, about looking British, and now he's trying to get me back. So it's okay.
No, I'm not trying to get you back. It's crazy that you're able to watch that. That's amazing, bro. I love that for you.
You're such a motherfucker. Oh man, what'd you watch?
Huh?
Don't you have a show? Something about being a virgin? What was it? Virgin Diaries or something?
Yeah, that one, the British Virgin at the top Virgin.
British Virgin, yeah. Go.
But my show, I wanted to call out White Lotus, but my show it was trending on Netflix because the second season came out. You guys heard of Night Agent?
No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mike, you've heard of it?
I've heard of it. I didn't jump into it yet, but I keep going back and forth.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's like this guy is part of, I won't give away too much, but he's part of like, it's based in DC. He's part of like the Secret Service, whatever, FBI, and is kind of working on very behind the scenes stuff. Like, but each episode, I think the first season maybe 8, second season's 8, and it's trending because the second season just came out, which is actually starts in Thailand. So everyone's going to Thailand, Derek. But yeah, it's a good watch, easy watch. Night Agent.
I don't think Mike has enough time because he's too busy watching every season of 90 Day Fiance. So I don't know.
Wait. Don't try to wrap me in this. I ain't said shit.
You said you don't have enough time because 90 Day Fiance.
He's got to catch every 90 Day Fiance.
No, man.
It is tough, man, to find time for the TV, in my opinion.
Wait. Guys, real quick. Did you see the clip? I'm sure you have. You know the clip of the Spanish like paradise thing with the guy
Montoyaaaaaa.
Yeah. And Mike, you don't know,
Yo, that shit is
what I'm talking about?
Oh,
Are you not on social media? You're not.
He doesn't have time. He doesn't have time, man. You're scrolling hours, Mike. No
you
time.
Have time.
He's really watching 90 Day. Cal, what's that show called? I'll just tell.
I don't know what it's called, but I know the clip. It's like Mike, it's kind of like think like Love Island a little bit, Love Island vibes, but like Spanish version. And like this guy Montoya, he was watching his girlfriend on a date, like with someone else, his girlfriend in part of the show,
You
and
talking
then
about
like
Temptation Island?
It's kind of like
kind of like that
the Spanish version
Spanish
of it.
version. Um,
Okay.
and yeah, Montoya, I think twice sees his
3 times.
girlfriend, 3 times sees his girlfriend like going at it with another guy, and they're like, and he's freaking out, and they're filming
Oh, and like
Montoya.
they're in the replay,
Yeah.
like watching the video.
No, it's live.
They're
Like
like,
they're
yeah,
live.
they're like, is it live when he's watching it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
no, that's what I
watching
mean.
them.
When they sit down and they watch it on the TV.
Yeah, they're watching it live. Like it's what's going on right now. And then he's freaking out and running, like trying to get to the house where they're going at it. And he's on the beach, like crying.
How could it be that 3 separate times they're there and like she must, maybe she doesn't know, but Mike, the craziest part about it is like there's like a camera in the bedroom and it's not like, it's like jackhammer. Like it is like, yeah, bro, it's the craziest thing. And then he's like, no. And then you know how like, Spanish people can sometimes be very, yes, they can be
Yeah,
very
that's
like
it.
theatrical. He's
He's
like,
freaking
no,
out.
and he's like running.
He's on the beach.
But wait, the guy that's doing it is with them, right?
No,
What do you mean?
no. The guy that they're watching it like live, like
That's the only question I have about it, Cal. Is like, who is it? All the guys are there, so then who's the guy that she's with?
one guy
That's what I'm
who's
saying.
like, they go on dates, and so they picked one guy and one girl to go on a date, from my understanding. And so the only guy from the group who's not watching it is the guy who's with her.
This is, by the time this pod gets out, this is going to be like it's going to be like we're talking about something that happened like 25 years ago.
Bro, what do you mean? With me at the helm, we're out Tuesday, man.
True.
It would be
True.
a few days.
True. It's wild because like what he's watching, it's like, it's one thing you're watching your girl and she's like making out with a guy, which is still terrible. And like, it's one thing if you see your girl like sleeping with another guy. But again, this is like hardcore, like
Live
under the
TV.
covers.
They had the bed shaking.
Yeah, it's just like, and every time somehow it must be orchestrated in some way. Like a kid, it has to be, right?
I got side note. I got asked to be on Temptation Island maybe like 6 years ago.
For real?
And yeah, that and I couldn't do it because they wanted like all these like douchey guys. So in the interview, I was like acting like super douchey, and I was just like, yeah, nah, this ain't it, man. I can't do it. But that's what it like. They have a type.
Yeah, because I was gonna say that is the least surprising thing. You remind me of one of those guys on one of those shows. No, but not in a bad way. Like, you're a handsome guy. You got the muscles. You got the love.
But
you're a DJ. You're you've got your fitness guy. Like
but this was
out of Central Cee like one of those shows.
This was like 2016,
right? So even more so.
They wanted you to be like 200 pounds minimum, muscular. I was like 140.
Oh yeah, you were a little bit skinnier.
Yeah. So it was like they wanted you like as long as you were like above 6'1" or something like that, you were good. They wanted you to be like 200 pounds. You didn't really have a job, but you had like a cool job.
Yeah.
Think about it. So it was like real estate agent, gym teacher, fitness instructor.
Right.
It's like you got a job, but you don't really got a job. And that's what they wanted. They wanted like very douchey type dudes. And I was just like, yeah, I can't do that shit.
Yeah. Probably a good decision. Probably a wise decision.
Yeah, I got no problems.
Here you are, the Put On Pod.
Yeah, now you're famous.
Yeah.
I gotta say,
go viral.
I gotta say this was a fun one. We're starting to get into a little bit of a rhythm.
Yeah. I just want to say that this episode is brought to you by Derek's bachelor lifestyle of watching TV and apparently Cal's virginity. I'm not sure. But
I will just say you're grouping like, yeah, you come spend. I'll come spend a week with me. You'll see what's popping. I'll come spend a week with you. We'll be on the couch watching TV, eating popcorn and shit. So we'll see.
Yeah, basketball practice.
On Wednesday nights, baby. Wednesday night basketball practice.
Don't call Derek on Wednesday after 4 o'clock.
He's busy, bro.
Will not answer, text, nothing.
Can't
my
get
wife
to
just
it.
sent me my wife just sent me a video of like, it was this guy and he's like, here's like how I get ready for the next day after I put my kids to sleep. And then it's just him eating this like popcorn that I eat just on like TikTok, like on a couch. And that was the rest of the video. I was like, that's me, huh? Yeah. Okay. All right.
All right. Well, let's cut it there. Episode 38. Peace.
Peace.
Thank you for tuning into the Put On Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe and don't forget to follow us on social at Put On Podcast.